let's talk about your theory, Cameron. Let's talk about your theory before we get into a spoilers and break it down, scene by scene. What is your theory on the Favreau verse, Filoni verse, whatever you want to call it, Rodriguez verse? I think it's that new crew verse. But please, enlighten us, brother.
My theory is based on what I believe are the politics of what happened behind the scenes of this particular moment of this show. The first few episodes were uneven storytelling. I think it's fair to say there were moments of greatness and there were moments of like, we could do better than this, right? And I feel my instinct was, because the timing of this show and because certain events happened, Ms. Gina Carano was fired around this time last year, February of last year, which is about the time when they would have been having the scripts ready to start putting the writer's room or whatever they had to start writing these scripts for Boba Fett. My instinct is, based on how it developed, that Ms. Carano was probably a major storyline because she was with Boba in the Mandalorian. She knew him, and I think she was part of the storyline, and they're like, oh, damn it, what do we do? And they started throwing things in here, and we got something, we got to start, let's go, right? So I think that forced them into rewriting rapidly. We know they rewrote a lot of other stuff because of her loss, right? So I think that's what happened here, and I think there was that. There was also the political element in the first half of last year when this show was being written, where, in my opinion, Ms. Kennedy had decided, okay, I've been sort of overshadowed by this Favreau guy who's theoretically working for me, and now he's done something that maybe I don't like with his Luke Skywalker thing that's making me look bad, but I got my revenge. I got rid of his girl, Carano, and now I'm going to reassert my power into this environment, right? And at the time, Bob Chapek, as I've talked about on Midnight's Edge, was someone that was still living in the shadow of Bob Iger, couldn't do what he wanted. And so she's like, this is my moment. I got what I wanted. I humiliated him with the Carano firing, and now I'm going to reassert it. So I feel the first few episodes of Boba Fett were the result of both this problem of having to rewrite rapidly because of Ms. Carano's departure, and the political pressure of Ms. Kennedy's reasserting herself, getting her people to make it the show that she wanted, which I think was more of her, what she thinks kids want, because she understands kids, right? It's more of that kind of thing, which we can't have Boba Fett, be a ruthless guy to this other hostage, right? I think her people were putting in bad notes. And I think the first several months were this struggle for power, which I've said on Midnight's Edge and Doom Conquer channels, where Bob Chapek decided to assert himself. We started seeing that in the trades, in the press, where he's publicly saying, I don't have any power, and I'm going to take power. He's publicly saying it in the trades. And then suddenly the pivotal event happens around May of last year, where The Atlantic, which is sort of like the cultural elite magazine of the coast, which doesn't really focus on movies and television, suddenly has this long article about how Jon Favreau is the savior of Star Wars, and implies that Kathleen Kennedy screwed it up. I mean, her name's mentioned in there. It's just very strange. And I felt that was the moment politically where Mr. Chapek had asserted himself and said, okay, I want you off this thing and leave Favreau and Filoni alone. Go back to your home office, whatever you're doing. Here's your paycheck. Shut up about this. Go focus on Indiana Jones. And at that moment, I think we can see the actual shift in the moment where it essentially became a new show. And that started after episode 3. So, but the first few episodes were tainted with this political war, and then suddenly we see episode 4 becomes a very entertaining episode, and then episode 5 is literally an entire. It's a whole other universe of the Mandalorian. That's where it accepted power. And this, in my opinion, this episode last night was coalesced around the time when that conversation was had with Ms. Kennedy. I want you off of this and focusing on Indiana Jones, because this is absolute freedom. This is a return to original Star Wars, pre-Kennedy, pre her agendas about social issues, even the message that we've got here, that there's evil in the world and that each children is evil. In the current mindset of the people I will call the woke people, they want to protect everyone with language controls, with gender this and that, and they want to make everyone safe. And this show is now saying no one can be safe in a hard universe, including children, and you have to get them ready for it. And that's not the message of the woke, who want to regulate everything to create this illusion of safety, right? And make everything an oppressive mass against us to feel safe, which I think is the theme of the last.
You can't manage risk. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's just my entire thesis. I think what we're witnessing here was a struggle for power inside of Lucasfilm that affected the stories. And the moment the stories became consistently good and returned to the themes of Star Wars, culminating in last night's episode, was the moment when Jon Favreau was given a green light saying, this is your show. She's been told to stay away from it, and her people have been told to shut up.
Okay, so going off that, then I'm not saying I disagree. I'm then curious to see Rodriguez be Rodriguez with episode 7.
God
Yeah.
willing.
If the shackles are off, God willing, we should have probably one of the most amazing hours of Star Wars.
They've got a top
Agreed.
last night. They've got a top last night. They can't
And
go back.
what they else have been saying, you are not, you know, that could be the case, because we were like, well, how can you top episode 4? How can you top episode 5? And now, how can
Right.
you,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know,
And isn't this the first episode that was written by Filoni and Favreau? I think all the other ones.
We
were
haven't
so-
seen Filoni's name credited until now as a writer.
Yeah, until now. So there is certainly credence lent to that by seeing the two of them work, and he gets to put his voice in, because a lot of those characters are ones he created, you know, in universe. And I think you're right, Paulie. We've seen a new villain. We've seen a much more violent depiction of what this war could be like, that it's actually going to affect people, and they've made it very concrete. I never like it when it's just abstract. You know, there's going to be a war and this thing. It's like, get to it. Show me what the problem is. Show me who's going to attack. And I think this one satisfied that.
I mean,
Yeah.
we saw violent acts. We saw
Yeah.
people dying.
Yeah,
You know?
major.
Innocent. Oh, and that's another thing, was like you said,
Mhm.
there was a lot of innocence.
Yes.
You know, and I was just like, that's that. And again, that there's so much to unpack from that episode, but I wanted to make sure I hit on Cameron's theory.